No, there is a reason actors date other actors. It's just easier.
Are you part of Tom's team?
Oh, we Tom's parole officers.
She's joking.
Please don't make a song on race. Please don't make a song on guns. Please don't rap about girls in chains. Please don't rap about doing drugs. Please don't sell out. Please don't fail us. Please don't kill yourself and blame us. Please don't blow up. Just get better. Please stay underground forever. Please don't let the money change you. Please be good with what you made. Please remain who you were when we found you halfway in your grave. Are you depressed again? Write about it. Please explain. Because when you feel like dying, that just helps me through my day. Look. I ain't changing for a buck, I ain't changing for a band, I ain't changing nothing up, this is who the I am. If you with me, I hope that y'all enjoy it. Beware of all the fake fans trying to destroy it, yeah. I ain't switching it up, I am the man that I was, way before I blew up, and everyone fell in love, never once gave up, been doing me from the jump, and I will never become that you wish I was, you ain't my mama, yeah.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Smack Talk Live. I am Coach, along with Lonewolf, who is back. How are you feeling this week, Lonewolf?
Oh, much better. On vacation now, so feeling great.
So on vacation, but still committed to the show. I like that.
That's right.
That's right. So, want to start. Last week, of course, I did a solo show, not very long, and I told everybody that either listen to it live or was listening to it recorded. That with one person, shows are gonna be shorter. Only one opinion. I have nobody to argue with.
Right.
So one of the things I talked about was Julio Jones.
Oh, okay, sure. Yep.
And him being traded to the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that, and this was the Beavis comment of the week, and I don't remember, it was on Good Morning Football.
Okay.
The Beavis comment was that Julio Jones undoubtedly makes the Titans a threat to the Chiefs and a contender to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and they have the most talented offense in the league.
Yeah, that's absolutely a Beavis comment for sure.
So what are your?
I couldn't agree with that more. Yeah.
How much do you think Julio Jones is actually going to help the Titans?
I mean, you look at it from last year, and how much did he play in Atlanta? And I think you say, okay, he's a year older. He's what, 32 now as a receiver?
Something like that.
I don't know how much you expect him to really step in and be amazing when you're talking about this team. He helps them, but they were an 11-5 team last year, so I don't know that gives them any more wins than they had last year.
And that's the thing. They lost. I can't remember the name of the receiver they lost.
They lost Jonnu Smith, and then they lost a receiver as well. Yeah, and I think of his name.
Corey Davis. Corey
okay,
Davis.
Yeah.
They lost Corey Davis in free agency, and he's younger. He's probably gonna. He probably can't. The thing that Julio Jones, I will say, gives them a deep ball threat, which Corey Davis didn't. I think that's the only benefit. A couple of things that come to mind with this is you're gonna ask Julio Jones to go and block about 70% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're going to be running the ball with Derrick Henry so much.
Right. My other comment on the whole Julio Jones making the Titans great offense is this. You still have Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback. Granted, I think he's an okay quarterback. He's not going to be able to get Julio Jones the ball. who would you rather have throwing you the ball, Matt Ryan or Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah, and the Titans' offense isn't one that is really pass oriented first. I think they run a lot of play action and they run a lot of things to get Derrick Henry going. And their coach, their offensive coordinator, who made that work, is now the coach in Atlanta. So you look at that and you say, doesn't a different offensive coordinator make a difference? Absolutely. I don't even know what their offense is going to look like next year with a new offensive, coordinator and new coach to run that scheme there. So I don't even know what that's going to look like.
Well, right, exactly. You look at this, and everybody probably is thinking, okay, we have Derrick Henry. You're going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. But you get a new offensive coordinator in there, and now you get Julio Jones. If you
And AJ
struggle,
Brown, you think, oh, I can throw the football a lot.
right, and you're gonna upset somebody.
Yeah.
You're gonna upset somebody. You're either gonna upset the Julio Jones because he's not getting the ball thrown to him, or you're gonna upset Derrick Henry because you're not running the ball enough. Good luck balancing that out. I think you look at the division the Titans are in, they should hands down win that division unless Carson Wentz bounces back and is the Carson Wentz of old.
Right.
But
because the Colts have the pieces, and that's their big question mark to me.
right, the question mark's quarterback, and if Wentz works out, then it's going to be an interesting race there. So, yeah. So I wanted to get your thoughts on Derrick Henry.
Sure.
Obviously, just real quick, the Packers had their mandatory mini camp. Aaron Rodgers wasn't there. Shocking.
Right.
And the reports are, kind of ups and downs with Jordan Love, but people said he actually looked, at least he could command the huddle and call the plays. Now, can he execute the plays? That's a different story. And you got to remember, it's mini camp. You don't have pads on. You don't have people rushing you.
Yeah, I don't put a lot of stock into that yet.
I will say this: he had a better mini camp than Tua.
That is for sure.
And people are writing that off and be like, yeah, he was aggressive. What did he get picked off 7 times?
Yeah, the thing is, we talked about this last year. He got benched a couple of times because he just wasn't getting it done in games that the Dolphins needed to win, and in games where he couldn't throw a ball past 10 yards. He couldn't throw more than a 10 or 15-yard out route or something. I mean, I don't even know if he was doing that. Maybe in routes. He just couldn't throw a long ball. So defenses were keying on that, and he wasn't able to do anything. So now he's having a bad mini camp. I mean, just there's a lot of issues here. I just don't see him as a sustainable long-term NFL quarterback. So people can say that, reading into that too much, but we said that, I think, when he got drafted. So I'm sticking with that until he proves me wrong.
Right. I said it right away. I said it that night of the draft that he was not an NFL quarterback. I mean, I love how they spin the negative here, and this is typical mainstream media on anything you look at right now.
Right.
You spin the negative to a positive, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Nothing ever can be said negative about anybody.
Right.
You gotta spin it to be positive.
This is not that bad. He's not going to be. Oh, he's going to be so much better.
The the headline says aggressive Tua picked off 5 times at minicamp. And then it says, if there's any time to mistakes, now is the time.
It's just they're forgiving him these mistakes already. Like, just
You
you're
you
forgiven.
you got picked off 5 times without a pass rush and without pads on.
Yeah.
I'm not beaming with confidence if I'm a Miami Dolphin fan right now.
No, not at all. No.
I mean, oh my Lord.
Well, and take a step away from the fan perspective for a second. Think about you as the GM, right? So this was your guy you picked last year. Now you're looking at it. I mean, he hasn't done a whole lot to inspire a lot of confidence. So what's your plan when he doesn't work out this year?
Lone Wolf right now, if I am the Dolphins, I know I have a decent defense. I put some stock into getting weapons on offense. If I am the Miami Dolphins general manager, I am calling the Houston Texans. I am calling the Green Bay Packers and seeing if either Watson or Rodgers is available and what it would take to get them. And then if I'm the Packers, I'm listening at that point.
Yeah. Well, and we know that Houston wants to move Watson. That's been the headline just recently. They've been talking about getting him out of there. So
Right. I'm still saying I still hope, and this will never happen, but I would love to see Green Bay Houston make a swap.
yep. But we said that even before Rodgers decided to sit out and before Watson got charged
Yeah,
with all these issues.
because here's the thing: if you're Green Bay, you get Watson, you give up Rodgers, just
Right.
straight up. Houston gets rid of the headache. Green Bay gets rid of the headache. You get a younger quarterback in his prime that, yeah, there's some legal stuff going on. That stuff will get taken care of. But even if he sits a year, now you have a year to see if Jordan Love can play.
Right. And if he's not any good, well,
You have
then
Watson
you've got
sitting there.
Watson. There you go. Yeah.
If you're Green Bay, wouldn't you just at least make the phone call?
I don't see why you wouldn't. And then you banish Rodgers to Houston where he's just going to be awful.
Yeah, they're going to stink.
So he gets what he deserves then. He gets out of Green Bay like he wants, and congratulations. Here you go.
So,
Now you're a 37-year-old quarterback with no offensive line. So,
or weapons.
yeah, that too.
I mean, Houston's going to stink.
Right.
They're going to stink. Let's
And
be
I'll
honest.
tell you this right now. If he goes there, there's going to be people who are predicting that they make the postseason. They
Yeah,
will not
right.
make the postseason.
No, they don't have it. They don't have anything. I mean, if Watson is out and they don't trade him and they don't get a quarterback, they're gonna be lucky to win 2 games.
Yeah.
Because who are you
The
really?
cupboard is bare in Houston.
I mean, this is just curious. This is way down the road, but let's just see if we can take a gander at their schedule.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, okay, well, you open up with Jacksonville. You got a shot there.
Right. They do play them twice. I mean,
But then you play Cleveland, Carolina, Buffalo, New England, Indianapolis, Arizona, Los Angeles Rams, Miami, Tennessee, the Jets. Maybe you might have a shot there.
right.
Later in the year, we'll see how the Jets are playing. The Colts again, the Seahawks, the Jaguars again, the Rams again, Los Angeles Chargers then, the 49ers and the Titans. There's only 2 or 3 games there that I could see you even have a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that's about it. So they are going to win between 1 and 3 games next year.
Woo!
I mean, that's it.
Wow.
And so really, if Rodgers ends up there, what does that change? I mean, let's say they
Nothing.
double their wins.
Nothing.
So what? They're 6-10 at the best.
Okay, I was gonna say maybe they get up to 4 or 5 wins.
Right. Yeah, because
Well,
he himself may be able to just pull off a game.
right.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be interesting. It'll be fun once training camps open and we start doing our predictions and our forecasting and stuff. It's gonna be interesting to see it happens. As we go down the line there. But anyways, let's move on to the NHL playoffs. We are in the conference finals, I believe.
We are, yes.
Conference
Two
finals.
really good ones too.
Right now, and again, we can't say East-West or anything because they don't do that anymore. Really.
Yeah.
This, which kind of it's kind of interesting. Right now, you have the Golden Knights lead that series versus the Canadiens 1-0. But right now, in the second period of Game 2, the Canadiens are up 2-0. The Golden Knights, I'll tell you what, they looked dead in the water in the previous series and then came back and just rocked the Avalanche in the last couple of games of that series. I only wish our Vegas trip was a little earlier, Lonewolf, and I'd say we have to go to a Golden Knights playoff game.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, this would have been a perfect time to see that,
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they came back with a vengeance, and I mean, especially in that last game, 6-3, closing out the Avalanche. So
yeah. So it's unfortunate because I mean even if these games go 7 games, it's going to only take us to about the 4th of July weekend, and we still got 3 weeks.
Yeah. So
I don't think they're going to stretch out the Stanley Cup Finals for us just so we can go to a game.
It would be nice, but
it would be nice, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, then you got the other series, the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the New York Islanders. New York thumped Boston in that. I mean, they won. It was 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the Bruins took. I don't know. It was 5. Yeah.
Well, so
yeah,
I mean, the Islanders won 4-1 in Game 4.
Yeah.
And they won 5-4 in Game 5, and then they won, I think, 6-2 in Game 6. So I mean, they really took it to the Bruins those last couple of games. Really, dominated that series. And I mean, we talked about that before. I said the Islanders were going to win that series. We talked about the NHL playoffs a couple of weeks ago. They were that team last year that was a lower seed that had made some noise, and I thought they'd be improved this year. They are, and here they are facing off against the Lightning in the conference finals, and it's tied up 1-1. So
yeah, it's tied up 1-1.
Really series.
The games are good, 2-1 and 4-2. So
yeah,
and I think that's the neat thing about the NHL, and this is why I think the NHL continues to gain in popularity, is that you have the last couple of years you've had the same teams. The Knights have been good for the last 3 years. The Islanders, the Lightning, obviously have been good. But before then, you had a resurgence of the classic teams that were really good: Boston, Pittsburgh, Chicago. So you get those ebbs and flows where you get kind of mini dynasties, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the NFL or the NBA where you get like 1 or 2 years of one team just totally dominating. You in the NHL, you have a handful of teams that are really, really good. and it's fun to
There's
watch.
more parity though in the NHL now than there has been, which is probably why it's more popular. Like last year, Nashville was really good,
Right.
and they made a run. So I mean, there's more teams. It feels like, and the parity is kind of spread out. I don't know. I don't see the Red Wing dynasties of before, the Blackhawks or something. We talked about that before. I feel like the last few years has been more parity in the NHL.
Yeah, and I think again, I really think they are good. My honest opinion is that the NHL, and maybe they haven't, but I think the NHL has overtaken Major League Baseball as the third most popular professional sport league in the U.S. Um, I just think Major League Baseball is dying. It's dying a slow death. Um, yeah, I just think they've made it so exciting in the NHL, and you're not, you could have a 2-1 game that's still super exciting because there's tons of shots and lots of action, but then you could have a shootout where it could be like 8-4 or something. It's
right. Even without a lot of scoring, it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, but baseball doesn't tend to have a lot of scoring either. But the game
but
drags.
yeah, it's a slow pace. I mean, the NHL is such high pace. And I remember, what was it, 5-6 years ago when the NHL really put a clamp down on the fighting, because for a while there they were like almost encouraging guys to fight on ice.
Right.
And then
Which
there are a
was one
couple.
of the nice things about hockey, I always thought. But anyway.
Well, but then a couple players got seriously hurt.
They did. Yeah, they did.
And almost
And that was
almost
a
lost their
problem.
lives.
Yeah.
So they put a end to that, and people were like, "Oh, this is the end of hockey." But I think it's become a more exciting brand now because, yeah, you may have taken a little bit of the physicalness away on the hits, but it's increased the speed and the flow of the game, which excites fans.
Right. It does. And I think you have more casual fans watching as opposed to just the diehard fans.
Right.
Or just it has increased the brand. I agree. I think it definitely has had that impact.
Well, I will tell you one thing, Lone Wolf. When we are out there, I will be looking for a Golden Knights visor, because I'm a visor guy. I don't wear hats. I wear visors.
Right.
So,
Yep. Just like John Gordon.
call me whatever you want. I don't
Yep,
care.
yep.
I like my visors. I will be looking for a Vegas Knight visor, because that is, they're taking over. I still root for the Blackhawks, but I don't know. I like the Knights a little. They're starting to inch into
Yeah,
that
they're growing on you. Yeah.
number
I
one
hear you.
slot. So, but yeah, so it's going to be an exciting Stanley Cup Finals here. In a couple, probably I'd say another week or so, they'll get started. So, anything else on the NHL here, Lone Wolf?
No, I didn't have anything else on that.
All right. And the last big story, I guess, we have is the NBA playoffs. We are still in the second round, the conference semifinals. Right now, the Hawks have come back taking the lead on the Sixers with 10 seconds left in the game. Hawks hold on to win this game. Will be up 3-2.
Yeah.
Which is huge for whoever comes out of that Nets Bucks series.
Absolutely.
Now,
I mean, we both picked the Hawks to win this series.
right, we did.
This is not that shocking. The 76ers kind of feel like a reflection of their coach. They get to a certain point in the playoffs and they start fading. The 76ers have done that in the fourth quarter in a couple of games so far. And it just feels like, Embiid's been playing. So we knew that was an issue going into this with some injuries. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're putting it together when they need to.
Right, and that's I think Sixers again. I think they're kind of like the Bucks were about 2-3 years ago. A nice team, but just not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I am not would not be surprised if the Hawks win this game.
Yeah, there's 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter here, so I'd be interesting to see because the 76ers had a grip on this game at the
Yeah.
beginning of the game.
Yeah, they had a huge lead. But who else had a huge lead in
Yeah.
game 5?
Yeah.
The Milwaukee Bucks, and they pooped their pants.
Yeah.
They
I have so many thoughts about that. I mean, this series, there's a couple different storylines we need to talk about here because there's a lot of major injuries that we need to talk about. We also need to talk about the games themselves. So
Right. So let's just start talking about this game. So James Harden plays this game, and it kind of ties into the injury thing. He
Right, it
plays
does.
this game, obviously hobbled. He is not 100%.
No, not at
He's
all.
playing because he knows if he doesn't play, the Nets have no shot.
Right.
He made some big baskets down the stretch of that game to seal the victory for the Nets. I'll give the Nets credit. They won at home. They held serve. That's what they had to do because the Bucks the pressure's on them to steal a game on the road.
Right. Yeah, because Irving was out, and you knew that you had that for sure.
Right. Well, and Irving's out the rest of the series. They've already
Yes.
said that.
Yep.
He will not be playing again this series, and it could be even longer because I think this injury is worse than people are saying.
Yeah.
There could be a fracture in there, even though they said it's a negative. They're not going to come out and say, "Hey,
No, they won't reveal that at this
they're
point.
going to say he has a broken ankle and he's done."
Right.
They're not going to rule him out until it's just absolutely they know for sure he can't play anymore this year.
And outside of the other injuries that we're going to get into, this is exactly what you talked about before this series. We talked about some things and what would affect it and how it's going to turn out. But I remember specifically, we talked about it, and you said the Nets are going to have injuries with 1, 2, or all 3 of their stars, and it's going to impact the series. Well, Here we are. Kyrie Irving is out. James Harden has been hurt.
Right. So now the onus is on the Bucks.
Yeah.
To again steal a game. Obviously, they have to win Game 5. I believe that's tomorrow, or Game 6 tomorrow in Milwaukee.
It is tomorrow. Yep.
And I would expect them to win that game. It's at home. You don't have Kyrie Irving. You'd hope they play with a chip on their shoulder because they let Game 5 slip away. This should be a closeout game, but it's not.
Yeah, I was really disappointed by the way that the Bucks played, particularly in Game 2. They just came out with nothing.
Game 1 and Game 2.
Yeah,
I was like, this series is over. If you're gonna play like that,
yeah. Giannis is just shooting outside threes, and it's just trash. Yeah.
Now, obviously, Game 3 and 4 they played much. The Game 3 is defense well, and I think that's what they need to do. They need to stop trying to outscore the Nets and play lockdown defense like they did in Game 3.
Yeah, because the Nets scored like 86 points. I mean, great. Who cares if you only scored 89? You still won.
Right. So I was and I kind of in the third quarter at the beginning of the second half, the Bucks extended their lead out to 17. I had just had a bad feeling at that point because they kept just shooting threes.
Yeah.
Now, why wouldn't you, again, this is from my, I get it. I'm not a professional NBA coach. I have not coached much basketball in my life. But I know sport. I know kind of how to position my players to win. If I have a 17-point lead halfway through the third quarter on the road, I am telling my guys, do not shoot a three.
Yeah.
Take time off the shot clock and get inside buckets. But did they? No.
Right.
They continued to shoot from, and then they went cold. And as soon as they went cold, the Nets made their move. And again, I put the onus on that game on Budenhauser. You have to be able to know, okay, the situation. And I think that's one of the complaints that people have about him is that I get you let your stars play, but you have to have some semblance of control and discipline. And you have to tell them, stop doing that. Stop taking these ill-advised three-point shots.
Otherwise, you're not the coach. I mean, you
Right.
have to coach.
Brook Lopez hits a couple of threes, and then he thinks he's a freaking shooting guard. You're not a shooting guard, idiot.
No.
You know, so that onus, I put that loss on Budenhauser, and I'll tell you right now, I am telling you right now, the Bucks don't win this series. The GM is sitting down with Giannis and be like, do we need a coaching change?
Oh, I think I'll take it a step further. I think if they lose this series, he's out. Like I'll guarantee he's gone.
But I think they sit down with Giannis. Like when they got rid of Kidd, they didn't talk to Giannis and kind of caused a riff for a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
I think they're learning, and we'll see the Aaron Rodgers crap going on. They're gonna just be like, hey, this is what we're thinking. What do you think?
Yeah. And in the NBA, it's a little different. I mean,
and that way they can say, hey, you know what? He was able to give his opinion, but we still decided we needed to move on.
Right.
So I really think Budenhauser, if they don't make, they don't have to win the title, but if they don't make the NBA Finals, he's fired.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah.
You have you have your core tied up for a couple of years here.
Right.
You can't continue to lose in the second round of the playoffs.
No, that's not good enough. I mean, the Bucks management put this team together to make title runs, not to get to the second round in the playoffs and lose.
Right. Now, this is what I want to talk to you, just the last few things on the Bucks. Moving forward, win or lose this series.
Yeah.
Chris Middleton needs to go. He needs to go. He was like 3 of 50 or something in the first two games. He shot horrendous the first two games of the series. If you are supposed to be a quote unquote big time player, you can't do that. Because it's not the first time this has happened to him in the playoffs. It happened to him last year and it happened to him the year before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you look at Game 5, he had 25 points in Game 5.
Okay, great. 1 out of 5?
I'm just saying.
1 out of 5, Lone Wolf? If you're supposed to be a superstar, you can't go sub 10, maybe in the teens, and then 25 and think that's good enough.
No, it's not. I agree. What I would say to that is I still like him as a piece on the roster, but if you are going to get rid of him, then you have to get something for him that you can replace that kind of production during the season, and somebody who can do that in the playoffs. So you'd have to find another scorer. You'd have to find somebody who can fit that bill. So I'm not opposed to that, because I think if the Bucks don't win the title or make the NBA Finals this year, then they do need to retool their roster. And that may be, a coaching change like we just said, but it also may be a player. So I'm not opposed to that, but I'm not
Well,
maybe as
I
beat
have
as
I have two names for you that the Bucks could go and get with the Middleton package. First one, Damian Lillard. It's already rumored
I
that
love that. Yeah,
there's already rumors that he wants to be moved and that Portland wants to move on because Portland, they have a nice roster,
yeah.
but it's not good enough to get anywhere.
No, it's not. No,
So
and
it's
they've
time
been
to re
skirting the
it
edge for a few
right,
years because they have him and they have other pieces around him, but they've just been skirting the edge, making the
right.
playoffs, but never making deep runs.
And now you'd have Lillard to facilitate the offense. I think if you put Lillard, Holiday, and Giannis on the floor with Lopez and then DiVincenzo, oh my lord, that lineup's really good.
It's dynamite, especially with all the other players that they have, all the other pieces they have.
Now the other name, and they've been tied to this guy before. Um, and I guess you could say they made the playoffs, but their roster's not very good.
Oh, the Wizards, you mean?
The Wizards, and that'd be Bradley Beal.
Right. Yeah, they talked about that in the off season. Yeah.
So those two, I think you could go and get one of those two guys, and that is a big time upgrade over Middleton. I like Middleton too. I like him as a player, but he's not helping you in the playoffs right now.
No, he's not. I agree.
And
Not as much as he should be.
and it's not like this is the first time. That's my issue.
No, I agree. Yeah.
He has a history of doing this every year, and especially in the second round.
Well, and what your expectations are for the Bucks as a franchise right now, not just a fan perspective, but for the franchise.
Winning a championship.
You want to win a title, right? So that's what you're trying to get to. So getting to the postseason and being in this situation isn't good enough.
Right. It's not good. It's not good enough just to make it to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah,
But
I like Lillard. Actually, I mean, Damian Lillard to me would be the ultimate piece. That's what I would. Yeah, he's a legit player all the way around. So
yeah, and if you're Milwaukee, now that you know you have your core tied up,
right,
you mortgage the first round. If you have to give up a few more first round draft picks down the season.
Yeah, I would say so for sure.
You do it. You just do it. Because you're not gonna the first round picks you get in those years aren't gonna be any good anyways. They're not lottery picks.
Right.
You're not getting a lottery pick in 4 or 5 years. So, yeah. So now this is interesting, and this is today. Scott Brooks, who is I think a pretty good head coach, leaving the Washington Wizards because they could not agree on a new contract.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know how he'd fit in with like a team like the Bucks, but and that's everything too. If we talked about the Bucks lose, you replace the coach. Well, who do you get?
Right.
You don't want a young guy that's never coached in the NBA before. You need somebody with experience that knows how to get a team over the top.
Well, Brooks, I mean, he's had some nice runs, with Oklahoma City and what have you. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he'd be your guy. He's never.
No, I'm not saying that. That's it. But my question is, who would you go? Who are some people you think could do a better job? That's the other thing you got to look at. Who's out there?
Yeah, no, I know. That's a really hard, tough situation to put yourself in. Who could you go out and get? because you look at it and the good teams, there's a lot of coaches out there. Would they want to move from their current situation to be in Milwaukee? And so then are you looking at a guy who like Brooks, who's, he's had some success, he's with Washington, he'd probably leave there and what have you, but is that the guy that you would really want? Um, that's the danger to me for Milwaukee, is that's kind of where you're caught. So, and no, you don't want to take a flyer on a young guy, because this is not the time to do that.
I'm gonna again. I like throwing out these bizarre
Throwing names out. Yep.
that probably will never happen, but an ego might pull this guy back for a couple of, again, just the length of Giannis's contract extension.
Okay.
To say he did it without two of the greatest players ever. Who am I thinking of?
What are you saying Phil Jackson? Is this
Yes, I am saying Phil Jackson. Wouldn't you kick those tires? Wouldn't you kick those tires?
No, I don't want Phil Jackson.
Why? Why not? Give me a reason.
He's too old, and after what happened in New York, I don't want Phil Jackson.
But here's the thing: in New York, he was in charge of player personnel. And come on, it's New York. It's the Knicks. You're gonna blame that all on Phil Jackson?
He's the man. He's Phil. He's the Zen Phil. I mean, he's supposed to be the guy who, fixes everything, changes everything, makes everything better, and he didn't do that in New York. No, I'm not going to blame it all on Phil Jackson, but it just didn't work out there, and I think
I might kick the tires on that, Lonewolf.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't agree. So,
Hey, all he has to do is coach. He doesn't have to worry. He goes back to coaching. He does. And here's the thing.
It's true. He doesn't have to do anything else. I mean, that would be good for him. Yeah.
And think about this. You think about those Bulls teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think about those Bulls teams. What didn't he have to deal with?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he just had to coach. He didn't have to.
No. I'm talking about within the players. What's the one thing he didn't have to worry about on the court? Now off the court, totally different story. They had the ego, the power trip.
The ego, yeah.
They didn't have that on the court. He went I loved Kobe and the Lakers, especially when Phil Jackson was there. Him, Shaq, that they were unstoppable. Right? But
they were.
Phil Jackson had to manage that power trip ego between Kobe and Shaq. And I think that's one of the reasons he left. The Bucks don't have that.
No, they really don't. And they could benefit from a guy like him if you brought him in as a coach. But I just don't. I don't see it.
Well, I don't see it, but again, I like throwing those things.
Oh, I know you do. I just don't think it would work. I don't.
But really, who's out there that you'd be like, he's a legit coach.
Steve Kerr. Steal him from the Warriors and bring him to the Bucks.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm just saying
that, you never know.
And to give some legitimacy to that, if Curry leaves Golden State and their run is officially over,
but he's not a free agent until after next season.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. I mean, it was just a thought. I thought Curry was a free agent after this season.
I thought it was next I thought it was nice. Let's find out. Let's find
Find out.
because if he is a free agent this year and Curry leaves, and or even this, say they don't extend if it is next year and they don't give him he goes into his final year in Golden State, Kerr might be like, okay, you're getting here ready to rebuild this thing. That I'm not doing it.
Right. And let me step into a situation that's ready made for a team to win the title. And there's a guy who I would take in a heartbeat.
Well, yeah.
Because he clearly, obviously, knows how to win a title. I'm just saying, and you might think, oh, maybe he doesn't want to do that, but I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. There's my what if.
I think he would. Why wouldn't you? If you had an opportunity to go from the Warriors to the Bucks, right now,
yeah,
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if Curry does leave and Clay isn't ever going to be what he was before,
but let's be honest, even if Curry stays,
sure.
I mean, yeah, Curry's still a great player, but I mean, he's 33 years old.
Yeah, well, he'll still be good for a few years, I think. But you're right. I mean, the dynasty there is over, and maybe it's time to say, okay, if that roster gets shaken up, and they do go into rebuild mode, that would be a good time for him to take off and move on to another franchise and do it. I don't know. I would jump at him in a heartbeat, like I said, and I think that's actually maybe a slim possibility, but it's still a possibility.
Yeah, and I can't find his contract.
I thought we looked it up before, and I'm almost positive he's a free agent soon.
I'm still looking at up here.
Of course, it's not coming up right away.
I mean, I can pull him up, but it doesn't say how many years he has left on his contract. Let's do this. But here's the other thing. You're the Bucks.
Oh, okay. So he is under contract for one more season, 21 to 22, and he's a free agent. Okay, so you're right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about this though? And I can't. This is far fetched. And I'll say this because you're looking at a $45 million cap hit.
Yeah.
What about this? Trade the first round draft pick, Middleton, to the Warriors for Curry and Kerr. That'll never happen.
No, it'll never happen.
But, and that's the thing though. If Curry goes into the season without a new contract here,
yeah,
that's got to go through Kerr's mind that they're going to let him walk.
Right. I would think. I mean, he has to look at it and he has to say, okay, and if Curry's gone, what do we have left in this situation? What are we looking at now? I mean, it is rebuild mode. It just is. The team just is not the same. There's no more Clay. I don't care what anybody says. It's not going to be the same guy. Draymond Green, yeah, he's a good player, but he's not a superstar that will take the team on his shoulders by himself. It's not going to be the same squad anymore. So
let's see. So
yeah,
I'm looking to see if there's any other names that we could mention here as replacements.
Yeah, we're talking about it as if it's a foregone conclusion, but Honestly,
Well,
it's
we're not the only ones talking about it.
no, we're not. There's a lot of people talking about this. Yeah.
So here are a couple of names that are being thrown around. I don't know if I like the one name. Terry Stotts.
No.
No, don't like him. Dave Jorger. He's with Memphis,
Okay.
and then the Kings. I don't like that either. Mike Brown.
Yeah, he's been
You
around the
know,
league quite a bit. Yeah.
right.
That might be a possibility.
Then they're throwing around Sam Cassell. I don't like that. If those are my options, I'm keeping Budenholzer.
Yeah. Yeah. There was some talk about, assistants maybe getting a nod, like Darvin Ham or somebody, but I don't know. I mean, you're just looking at a guy who's in the system, who is under the same coach. I don't know if I really like that either in this situation. If you're just to promote an assistant.
And while we're throwing out some strange scenarios right now, there's a guy out there that's probably only got a handful of years left of wanting to coach. His team is not going to be anywhere near competitive in the West. What about Popovich?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Get a
Yeah,
three,
time to
4 year.
leave, maybe make one more run,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, if I'm the Bucks, that's what I do. I don't go after one of these guys. They're talking about. Now this would be interesting. Just read this. We'll get back to the Popovich thing because it's kind of along the same lines. They're talking about a possibility, and this would be a first in the NBA, and it would be kind of neat. I'm not, I'm now being the social justice signaling and stuff, but Becky Hammon,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
she's an assistant coach under Popovich,
Yep.
be the first woman head coach. She was in Milwaukee before she went to San Antonio.
Mm-hmm. That would be an interesting move, I think. And she obviously has been under a coach who knows how to win. So
right, I would prefer a seasoned coach because you have a roster ready to win.
Right.
But I mean, she has coached a handful of games because, like, when Popovich gets tossed, she is the next person up.
Right. Right. And he's known to do that occasionally.
Right, and he's known to do that. So
Yeah.
that could be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like that. If
So do
you're
I.
going to go after someone who didn't have a lot of experience in this situation, that'd be something I'd go for. Or I'd go with.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like Giannis and a couple of those other key components of that team know her.
Yeah. And they would play for her.
Right. So
and that's the biggest thing in this situation is you got to bring somebody in that they're gonna play for. And I agree. I mean, when you talked about this earlier, if they're gonna get rid of Budenholzer, then they need to talk to you.
Yeah, and like we said, this is not a foregone conclusion.
No.
But we're saying if they were to move on, because they've looked really bad in 2 games, they've looked okay in 1 game where they won, they looked really good in game 4, and then they, like I said, they pooped themselves in game 5.
Yeah, I mean, they crapped the bed. That was their game to win, and they should have won.
So if they come out and they throttle the Nets tomorrow night at home,
yeah,
but then they go lay an absolute egg in game 7, Budenholzer is gone. Now, if they go out and they lose like 150 to 149 in game 7, maybe they keep him around. But I think he knows that he is on thin ice if he does not get to an NBA Finals.
Well, and you just look at it and you say to yourself, there's a big three, and they don't have a deep roster. You lose one of those big three, and you still lose this game. Like, and if you end up losing this series, like, this is not necessarily being handed to you, but you have to take advantage of a situation when one is presented. You have a healthy, deep roster. You should be able to beat this other team.
Right. So, all right, moving on to the Western Conference.
Well, just briefly, I want to say the Hawks ended up winning by 3 and did beat the 76ers, and they're up
Yep.
3-2.
So moving on to the Western Conference matchups.
Yes.
One's done.
Which I don't think either one of us predicted that at all. You said the Suns would win, but I don't think you were thinking in 4 games.
Not in 4 games. No. That was quite a surprise. So the Phoenix Suns are into the Western Conference Finals. They're going to take on either the Jazz or the Clippers. Right now, the series is tied at 2, and it's a tight game. The Clippers are up 44-43 in the second. So,
Right.
now here's the thing, and you know, I'm gonna stick with my pick of the Suns making it to the finals,
Yeah.
but it took a hit today.
Yeah, with Chris Paul, yeah.
Chris Paul is out indefinitely right now in COVID protocol because he went up in the stands to celebrate and he got COVID from fans.
Yeah.
Good job, Phoenix. Good job. You just effed yourselves.
Right.
I mean, that's the Beavis comment of the week right there. I don't have one, but that is it right there.
It really is.
As a fan, you effed yourself because you went to the game not feeling good and gave your superstar COVID.
Right. Yes. It's the Beavis maneuver of the week.
I'm telling you right now, Phoenix, you better hope this series goes 7 games.
Oh, right. Yeah.
If the series goes 7 games, there's a chance he may only miss 1 or 2 games.
Right. And then you're in business because
Then you're
that's going to be a
okay.
good series with whoever you go
Right.
against, and you should be okay. Yeah.
Right. But if this is over in 6 games, the NBA is not gonna be like, well, we'll move back the schedule. So no, you're out of luck. And I'm sorry to say it, Phoenix, you're my team. I picked you last year as a rising team that I would pick to be the GM of.
Right.
But if I'm the GM right now, I am super pissed. I'm like, close down the freaking arena. Nobody's coming in the next home games. Because
Well,
you
after
stupid
that,
idiots.
I mean, you have morons going in there jeopardizing their team. If you have COVID, here's a news flash: stay home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I just thought I had a cold. Guess what? No one can say that anymore and use that as an excuse.
Right.
No one can.
Yep.
You're
No
done.
one can say
And
that.
now, whoever that was, whoever gave him that, I hope you feel awful because you could have cost your team a chance at going to the NBA Finals.
Right. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, and I mean, no, they're lucky. You know, they cleaned up this series quick, and again, that was a shock to me how they took the Nuggets and just destroyed them in 4 games. I was surprised, but they do have the benefit of seeing, you know, what's going to end up happening in this other series, and you've got at least potentially 3 more games here to worry about it. But yeah, so there's that. And then on the flip side of that, on the other series, you have Kawhi Leonard, who is gone, and he is not coming back.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, basically, to me, I look at it, and I know this is still remaining competitive, but with him gone, I just don't see how the Clippers can win this series. I don't. He's such an integral part of that squad. He's their number one guy. So yeah, it's possible, but I don't see it now that he's out. And that's a lot of star players that have been injured or have been out of games. LeBron went on a little rant about that, but to me, he's just he's being such a crybaby about it. I understand why he's having an issue, but at the same time, he just sounds like he's having a temper tantrum when he does that.
Well, he's complaining because he got eliminated.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, why does he care now? Like, all these star players are getting injured. Well, okay. Yeah, other people are getting injured too.
It's not like they were running down the court and fell over.
Right.
It's not like they planted and popped their knee. Irving landed on Giannis.
Right.
That happens in basketball. Surprising.
As he well knows.
Now, Steve Nash kind of insinuated Giannis and did it intentionally, but, it's like, I doubt that that's going to happen.
I don't think so. Yeah.
But, yeah, LeBron needs to shut his mouth.
Yep.
Eat some humble pie. And, hope that the Lakers can build a roster around him to give him a shot. Because I'll tell you right now, just him and Anthony Davis are not going to make it to another NBA Finals.
No. Nope. We agree on that for sure.
So, but yeah, so the Western Conference Finals are going to be interesting, depending on what happens with Chris Paul. I still I'm going to stick with the Suns making it, but we'll see. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, and with Leonard being out, now it sounds like they're saying he could miss the rest of the series. But I think, look, he's out for the series. I don't see how they can defeat the Jazz. So I don't think it's going to really matter in the long run. And I think you're looking at a Jazz Suns conference finals. So
yeah. So, and just looking through some other names here for possible replacements. And this is I just read this. Stan Van Gundy was let go by the Pelicans today.
yeah, I saw that. After one season.
That I've never been really a big Stan Van Gundy fan. When he was in Orlando, he did well with a average roster. So, possibly one guy that I think, and he never got a ton of credit, but he hasn't been a head coach again for a while, I think. Let me see here. No, I suppose no. I guess it was just last year. A guy that I think, if he doesn't get snatched up by another team, would win the title with the Bucks. Mike D'Antoni.
Oh yeah, he's only been out for a little bit. You're right.
And it's and here's an article And this is from Bleacher Report. So Bleacher Report usually is pretty good with at least their sources.
Right.
That both Mike D'Antoni and Rick Carlisle, who I believe he's still coaching the
He
Mavericks,
still is coaching, yes.
have indicated that they would be interested in the Bucks if Budenholzer is fired.
I mean, you know,
Either one of those
those are some
guys.
guys that could be possibilities, really
Yeah,
good
I
possibilities.
take either
Yeah,
one of those guys
yeah,
over Budenholzer.
right. I agree. Yeah,
D'Antoni, I love the D'Antoni's system would fit in perfectly with the roster the Bucks have.
right. Yeah, I'm not a you know, he's been criticized previously for not having teams that play good defense, but I think he kind of fixed that in his last go around, and I could see him working well in this situation. And I would agree. I'd take either one of those guys over Budenholzer in a second.
Yeah,
I mean, I just, you know, win in the playoffs, dude. You know,
right.
you can't win in the playoffs, then there's no point.
And they're saying D'Antoni's his interview is interviewing with the Trailblazers. I mean, he's a smart enough guy that he knows that he's going to look at that and be like, "This is a rebuilding job.
Yeah.
I'm 70 years old. I don't have time to rebuild a
No,
franchise."
and you can interview with them, and then you can wait a little bit and see what happens with some of
Oh,
these other coaches that
absolutely.
are still left. And if one of those
Absolutely.
coaches goes, you know, that's the job you want. So yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So it's funny. We're talking about this. Now watch the Bucks go and win the title. Then this is all for naught.
Well, it's all for naught, but you know, it has been. That's the point, right? I mean, coach, because if he goes out and that team wins the title, well, then great. Then he did what he was supposed to do, and then it doesn't matter. And all these are just rumors, no big deal. But I don't know. It just feels like the way that this team is being coached and the way that it has been going on. I don't have a good feeling about this series because of what he's doing as a coach.
Right.
So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
been bothering
absolutely.
me. Yeah. And it
So
should. It should bother a lot of fans.
yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If they fall short yet again, um,
Third time is not a charm.
yeah, exactly. This
Yeah.
is the charm. This has to be the charm.
Right. It has to be it.
Um,
Yeah.
so I guess we'll see there. The last thing I want to talk about here, and we are getting up on our hour time limit, or
Right.
not time limit, but the time that we want to um,
Keep to.
be at. But I thought I want we get your opinion on this. It has come out that the College Football Playoff Committee
Mm-hmm.
is seriously considering expanding the college football playoffs to 12 teams.
Yep.
What are
I
your
have seen
thoughts
that.
on
Yeah.
that?
Well, when the college football playoff came about and was only 4 teams, I never thought that that was enough to begin with. So expanding the playoffs, I'm in favor of that. I think to me the question is, should they expand it to 12 teams? Is that too many? Because you don't want to water it down. And I don't think college football would benefit from doing something that college basketball does, right? Like they have their
Mm-hmm.
NCAA tournament and it's great, and you have all these small schools that get their bids and they get in. But if you have 12 teams, I feel like that's too many. I think, you know, like 6 or 8 would be better, because then you still have a quality tournament. with teams that actually have a shot. If you have 12 teams, I think that's too many. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think the playoffs should be expanded, but 12 is too many.
I agree. And I don't know. I mean, I never think you can have enough, too many teams.
Yeah.
If you want to have a true national championship, then then you want to have as many teams as you can.
Well, sure. Yeah.
My issue with the number of 12 is how do you structure it? You'd almost have to do it like the NFL did, where you have two teams with byes. Go six and how would you do it here? I'm just trying to think how you would structure it because you can't just go a 12-team bracket because eventually you're down to 3. So you'd have to do a 12-team bracket. The 1 and the 2 get byes. 1 through 10 play. That gives you 5 winners. That still doesn't work. And that's my issue there is how do you make a 12-team playoff work? You'd have to go 6 and 6. Basically have like a East and a West or a North and a South bracket.
That's what I was just kind of thinking. Yeah.
The top 2 get byes, and then the remaining
bottom 4 play. Whoever wins those games, they play the top 2 teams, and then whoever wins that, then and then
so I mean,
next and so forth.
And you'd have to start it. I think what the way they'd have to do it. My issue here is when do you start the playoffs? And do you start it in December, like that first week? Like normally December, but you're gonna have to. Otherwise, you're running into March Madness.
Right. You can't have that go later than what it's already going. So the national championship, I think, stays in the same game, same time, and then you just started in December. And a lot of those bowl games that you'd be having anyway. First of all, there's too many bowl games, but there's just way too many. But you eliminate some of those and make them part of the playoff. So you still have, I guess, the game, but they need to be made part of the playoff.
What you would do there is I would just you arrange it so each playoff game is sponsored by a bowl. So like the CarQuest Bowl, that'd sponsor a playoff game.
Sure.
Instead of being a bowl game, it's sponsored by whatever. I think that's the best way to do it. It's going to come down to money. And when
it always is in college sports, so
when the push comes to shove, the money is going to be too much for people to pass up, because the NCAA is greedy. I'm not afraid to say it. They are greedy. I mean, it's taken them this long to make concessions to allow players to have money from the sale of their likeness. I mean, that's stupid. I can't go out and sit there and sell something that has a likeness of the NCAA logo on it and keep all the money for myself. I have to pay royalties to the NCAA. Well, why should I be able to take a likeness of a college athlete and sell it and they don't get a royalty for it? Doesn't make any sense. I'm not in for paying the players a salary, but if you're going to make money off of their likeness and things like that, they should get some type of reimbursement for that.
Well, because I mean, look, if you just pay them outright, then it's just a lie. Because you might as well not even call them amateurs anymore. There's absolutely no point. They're just professional athletes at that point, and they're not getting an education. They're just being paid to play sports.
Right.
And the problem with all of that, to me, and that's a larger issue that we can get into some other time, but where does it end? Does it go to curling and lacrosse and swimming and everything else, or does it only go to basketball, or does it only go to football, and does it go to every single university or just some, or how do you even regulate all of it? So there's so many questions about that, and it all falls back to the NCAA and their greed. Really, is the problem.
Oh, it does. It absolutely does. So
Yeah.
Um,
But I think what I was going to say before, my point about it being too many teams with 12 is this. So, and this has been happening in college football now that you have the 4-team playoff, right? Every year, there's probably one, maybe 2 teams that you say they should have had a shot at the playoff, right? They're good enough to do it. But there's not 6 more teams that are good enough to be in it, or 8 more teams that are good enough to be in it. Because that 10th ranked team or that 12th ranked team, they're just not in the same league as some of those other teams. You usually end up with a 1-loss team that's sitting there at number 5, and you're like, oh, they should have had a shot. So a 6 or 8 team playoff gets it, but if you get a 12 team, I mean, you're almost having games in the playoff just to have games, and maybe you'll get a 12-seeded team that pulls it off. And I could be wrong; I'll eat crow, but I doubt it in college football.
Well, right, and I agree. It's the chances of that happening are very slim. But the reason they're going to do it is that there no longer will be that debate.
Sure.
You go 12 teams. If you are we're the 13th team, you cannot sit there and nobody's gonna listen to that argument anymore.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, "Are you kidding me? You're the 13th team you're the first team out of the playoffs. Okay, great. Guess what?
Right. Yeah.
You win one more game, you are in. You've lost too many games.
Yeah. Well, then you're getting into 2-loss, maybe even 3-loss teams. So yeah.
So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, that does make sense. I agree with that. But I just feel like it just kind of is a little watered down at that point. So
yeah. But yeah, other than that, I have nothing else on Wolf. It's going to be interesting to, and we're having the show tonight because we have our sectional track meet tomorrow night.
right.
So I'm unavailable. And depending on how tomorrow's meet goes, I may not be available next Thursday because of the state championship track
okay.
meet. So,
all right. Well,
it all depends on how things go tomorrow.
Right.
So we will see what happens there. But I'll let you let you know. So, anything else on Wolf?
No, I didn't have anything else to touch on tonight.
All right. Well, I will let you go and enjoy the rest of your vacation, Lone Wolf.
Sounds good.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great week. Enjoy the NHL and NBA playoffs, and we will talk to you next week.
All right. Have a good night.
Please stop using auto-tune, cause you sound great, I love your voice. Please don't drink to kill the pain, you sobered up and made that choice. Please don't stop responding to my comments if you took it wrong. Please don't ever come down off that pedestal I put you on. Please don't contradict yourself and make songs with those famous rappers. Please just barely pay your rent, I'll buy a t-shirt, autograph it. Please don't ever change your style or cut your hair or switch your side. Do that and I'll leave you, please just stay the same until you die. Look, I ain't changing for a buck, I ain't changing for a band, I ain't changing nothing up, this is who the I am. If you with me, I hope that y'all enjoy it. Beware about the fake fans trying to destroy it. Yeah, I ain't switching it up. I am the man that I was way before I blew up, and everyone fell in love.